and hate leads to suffering. Ooh, welcome to Mirror Domains. Guys, we are live, jumping on here for a quick little video in which we will review the movies Death of a Unicorn or Woman in the Yard. Which is better to see? Which should you see this weekend? And yeah, we'll talk about the Jason Statham movie. What's going to happen here is that I will cut these out and put them up on the review channel later on. I was going to record it separately, but hey, let's just talk about these movies that, are worth talking about, right? Because they are the movies that are coming out this weekend. Now, I will just make sure that I got everything ready here. I'll turn on the YouTube chat afterwards. Okay. Death of a Unicorn. Here we go. Let's do it. No, I need my audio switched over, James. Switching audio.
Sorry,
what happened? You walked from the airport
Ooh,
or
what? Yes, Death of a Unicorn stars Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Will Poulter, Richard E. Grant, and Tia Leone. And it tells the tale of this family, father-daughter, that go to this resort and they hit a unicorn along the way, and they have to deal with the fallout of, what does that all mean? The trailers would have you believe that this is a comedy, a dark comedy, and at times that it is. It does have some laughs. But it also wants you to take it seriously at times, and I felt like this movie had some tone issues straight out of the gate. Rated R, an hour and 47 minutes. We'll talk about the runtime in a little bit. The runtime is a serious detriment to this movie. Father and daughter duo Elliot and Ridley hit a unicorn with their car and bring it to the wilderness retreat of a mega-wealthy pharmaceutical CEO, played by Richard E. Grant. And then, of course, it's kind of like, what do we do with this? Does it have magical powers? And are they going to try to capitalize on the regenerative properties of this unicorn? And it's like, that's the cynical side of it. And I think that side has some interesting ideas. It's kind of like, okay, we've got this magical thing. What do we do with it? But the problem is that it's also at times trying to have this serious father-daughter story in here that's, between Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd, that would pay off. It would pay off. It's just not set up properly. Like, you don't care about their relationship because you don't really know them too well. It's just this far out scenario. And it's kind of like you like them because it's Jenna Ortega. You like it because it's Paul Rudd, right? But you don't really know their characters. And then they try to shoehorn in this really big climactic payoff sequence for them at the end, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. At least that's the way that I felt about it. It comes from new time director Alex Scharfman. He hasn't really directed anything else, a short. So I can maybe chalk this up to lack of experience. But it felt like it was trying to be a Knives Out movie and have that tone of, oh yeah, this is fun. Look at the cast here. We're all having fun in making this movie, Death of a Unicorn, but it's not translating. It's not translating to us as the audience, because you're watching these people have this one note gag. Oh yeah, we're the rich people that just don't care about anybody else. We'll step over everybody else. But that's all they are, all three of them. There's no difference in either three of those characters. So it's kind of it's a bit of a letdown for me in that aspect. Let's go over to the score sheet and start filling out some numbers for Death of a Unicorn. Acting, directing, and story out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point each. Acting is serviceable. There's nothing in here. Yes, Jenna Ortega is trying at least. It's not 10 there, James. It's a 1. Will Poulter, I think, will be a standout for some. I like Richard E. Grant in this as well, because there's like a sinister Mr. Burns quality to him. As I said, it's muddled in there with all this other stuff that wants you to have like the heart to it. it's not landing. It didn't land, and I'm gonna have to fault the director for that. The technical aspects of this, it's not a very cinematic film. It felt like it was made for Netflix or Prime, and that's probably where it should be. Visual effects were not that good either. It didn't look very good on the big screen. Story, as I said, the story has some interesting premise in there. It does. But I'm being generous here by saying this is a 4 out of 10 so far. The score, it serves the movie. It serves the movie. So let's go over to the tomato meter here and see what people are saying about Death of a Unicorn as of 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. 56%. Oy. Well, I'm guessing it's for the reasons that I'm just going to hit the refresh. It just went down 55%. I'm guessing it's for the reasons that I just outlaid to you. David Fear, Rolling Stone. You want to put America's upper crust on blast? Bring it. To hit a target, however, you need something close to a good aim. And this mix of satire and splatter can't seem to stop flailing long enough to steady its hand. And that's what I mean by the tone, guys. So that's just an argument about the tone. ABC News. Charm magnates Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd do their best to lift this horror comedy out of the quicksand of cliches that surround it, but it's a losing proposition. And guys, they even go as far as to make a Marvel joke in this. Like that's hey. But some audience people liked it, so awesome, totally unexpected stuff. Such a random story, but entertaining. Let's see if we can find somebody who is kind of like me. Middle of the road here. Okay, so we don't have one there. I thought I saw 2.5. A rather disappointing horror comedy that lacks any real good humor, with the horror coming in mostly in CGI gore. Yeah, it's all CG, guys. Paul Rudd's role is not written to be funny at all. No, and that's the thing too. I want to see Paul Rudd do more serious stuff, and if you let him, those emotional payoffs with him and Ortega could have worked. For me, it just didn't land. The critics, is there anybody here who liked it? It never quite makes the leap from situation to actual story, but it has plenty of fun trying. So that's somebody being, a little bit favorable to it. But I pulled up Matt Donato's review because I trust his perspectives here. So Death of a Unicorn sounds like a slam dunk on paper, but in practice delivers late-night cable thrills at best. And that just echoes what I said about this feeling like a straight-to-streaming kind of movie. There's no, like, yeah, there's some B-roll shots of the vehicles driving on the highway and stuff like that, but do you need to see that on the big screen? No, and I don't think this is going to land. It's not one that I'm going to be like, oh, guys, you got to check this out. It's so funny, and it's not. It's not. It had all the right ingredients. It as Donato said, on paper, like Richard E. Grant, Mr. Burns. It's like, it should be funny. It should be like this. It just doesn't work. It didn't work for me. So where do I land overall? Let's go to the score sheet and finish this up for Death of a Unicorn. Watchability factor. As I said, if you are interested by the premise, if you are a fan of Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, you might want to check this out. There is some good praise out there for Will Poulter, but Will Poulter always brings it. I always feel like that. It's tired. This just feels like a tired concept that should have been an hour and 20 minutes at most, because some of the jokes just repeat over and over again. It's like, okay, we get it. And it does feel amateur hour by the director in not editing that story down to cut it down to an hour and a half, because it just drags on and on at the end. It's like, okay, it's done now, right? Oh, we're still going on. Okay, just one quick little extra thing here at the end, but then it goes on. And okay, and then you're like, this has got to be it. No, we're not done yet. And it reeks, it's rife of that new director feel and tone. So 5 out of 10. I hate to say it, but I think that's that's where I land for Death of a Unicorn. What did you guys think? Are you going to go out and see it this weekend? Or are you going to go out and see Woman in the Yard? That we will talk about next, right here on Mirror Domains. And hey, if you like these kinds of reviews, go over to the main channel because, well, we also did a review for Snow White, but we also reacted to Survivor Season 48. Really good television over there. We wrapped up Reacher Season 3 this week, and full movie reactions are over there for The Electric State and The Gorge. And occasionally we throw in a little bit of movie news here and there. All right, so what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Death of a Unicorn, yes? No? For me, it's sadly no. And I really wanted to have fun with it. I was going to be forgiving for a little bit. I was going to say, okay, I'm going to give this one a pass, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. By the end, it was just like, you know, those endings where it's like, it just where you're sitting in the theater and just saying, end already. God's sakes. A24. Hopefully the budget was not all that huge, but we'll talk about the budget after we wrap up our Woman in the Yard review, because I do want to talk about how some of these numbers are rolling in. All right. Let me set up my posters here for Woman in the Yard, because I need to switch them for the purposes okay. That's going. OBS. If you know how to use it, then you know what to do. All right. Where are we at? Do we have any live comments now? Because this is just kind of a ad hoc stream. I didn't really think that. I just thought I'd throw it on. And this is a good way to get these reviews up on the main channel as well. It's just going to be part of a package. I think people who know this channel should be expecting this now, especially when we get multiple movies coming out on the weekend. Okay. I think I got all my materials ready. Just make sure that I do. Ready? Ooh, scary. There seems to be a woman in the yard. Woman in the yard. Oi, oi, oi. Shoot. Hey, James, that's not supposed to happen. All right. Did I screw that up? Did I screw that up? I did.
There, you'll never know.
Ooh, scary, creepy. Who is that? Woman in the Yard. Woman in the Yard opens up this weekend and stars Danielle Deadweiler. And it tells the tale of a family on a farm that is going through some trauma. And then all of a sudden, this woman in the yard shows up, and what do we do with it? Is it a ghost? Is it meant to be kind of a spirit haunting us? And that's the issue with this movie, is that it's a kind of a unfolding of who this lady is, why is she there, and it's kind of a slow burn. Know that. It's not a jump out of your seat scary type of movie. It's kind of a creepy, eerie kind of feel to it. And it will work for people who are maybe new to this genre. It's very softball, entry-level horror. But if you are a horror aficionado, this movie will not be for you. We've seen stuff like this before. It's not scary. You're not going to be like shaking in your boots at the end of it. You're not going to be haunted, trying to go to sleep at night after watching this movie. This is just kind of like a, well, I hate to say this, but it's kind of a weak effort from Guillaume Colette Sarah. And this movie makes a cardinal mistake. It does, about some of its characters. If you don't know this director, he did Black Adam with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That, well, yeesh, sadly wasn't very good. Was this movie any good? It's mid, sub-mid. As I said, if you're new to this genre, maybe this will work for you. But for me, I just found it not that entertaining, because once you realize that you're watching a movie where the bulk of it is going to be just this woman sitting out in the middle of the yard and the family looking at them, what do we do? Do we go to talk to them or do we not? And as I said, this movie makes a critical mistake, a fatal mistake, if you will, with the main character played by Danielle Deadwyler there. You don't like her. She makes, like, you will be sitting in your chair screaming at her. Just go out there, talk to her, tell her to get lost, move her if you can. No, you don't even want to go there. Call the police. Oh, you can't do that. The movie tries to set up clever ways for them not to go out and get help. But then you're like, is it a ghost or is it not? And you're like, I don't really care because this person's not a very good person. So it's like, I'm rooting for the woman in the yard to come get you. It's like, that's just going to the writing of it. So I am a little bit dismayed by this film a little bit, because I didn't really have high hopes for it, but I was oddly curious about this. Let's go over to my score sheet and start filling out some numbers here for Woman in the Yard and see where we will fit before we go over to the tomato meter. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point. Acting, serviceable. It's not cringeworthy. And we've got kids in here. Nothing in here was really cringe. It's just, what is this movie trying to say to me? It's about the story. The story has got an interesting premise. It's just not executed all that well. The directing, technically, things are framed well. You could tell that he was swinging for the fence. You could tell that he was. But by the end of it, you're like, wait a minute. What's happening here? Was this teed up properly? Was this kind of a scenario set up properly? And no, it's not, because, okay, if it's a spirit kind of thing, what are the rules of this spirit? Or is it just a normal person who's insane sitting out there? You didn't give us any hints as to what the menace or the threat of what the woman in the yard is. It's just slowly creeping towards you, as if it were like that movie It Follows, but it just doesn't land. It doesn't stick anything. It doesn't land. It's just kind of like, there it is. It comes around a little bit in the end where it's like, oh, you're about to do something really cool with this, and then it just goes. So that's where I'm sticking. Cinematography, serviceable. Score, there's nothing really haunting about it. 3.5 so far. Wait. Well, let's go over to the tomato meter here and see what people are saying about Woman in the Yard. Okay. 44% as of 4:40 on Friday. Let's refresh here and see if we can get an update. 41%. So it's going down. And I don't think the audience is going to be any more generous. The film Maven Substack liked it. What ends up elevating The Woman in the Yard is some truly stellar casting that creates a sense of intimacy and warmth in a movie that isn't afraid to become utterly nihilist. So it's bleak. There is a bleakness to it. I'll grant you that, but it didn't work. RogerEbert.com. A choppy and meandering narrative that not even an admittedly committed lead performance by Danielle Deadwyler can save. Well, she does commit to it, but you hate her as a mother character. And they make that very obvious at the start. It's like she's neglectful. And I don't buy those kinds of stories, guys. The high-concept psychological horror movie is so inert that it lacks anything resembling tension or scares. And that's what I'm saying, because you're just so frustrated at this mother, and they try to explain why she's acting like that, but you're like, you don't care, right? You don't care about her because she's just doing stuff that would just infuriate you, and it infuriated me. Plus, as I said, you stop and think about this movie for 1 second. There's somebody in the yard. You've got kids. You do what you have to protect your kids, right? You do what you have to, and it's just mind-boggling. All right, wow, deep original psychological thriller. I would say this here's home with people with depression, and I'll talk about that after. I said that in my little quick review that's up on the channel. The movie was pretty boring. It started pretty great, and then mid-end plot was just confusing. As I said, it swings for the fences with its conclusion, and that's where people are saying it's confusing. But it's an overall. I would echo the sentiment there that it is kind of boring. The upside is that it is only an hour and 28 minutes, but PG-13. This is not something that I'm going to remember in the next. Like, horror needs to step up this year, man. It's just, it almost makes the monkey look like Shakespeare. All right, and you know how I felt about that movie. Want to check out my review for that? Go over and check it out on the channel. So, watchability factor. Yeah, if you like the premise, if you like the director, you like the actor, it's worth checking out. I would say if you're a horror fan, it's worth checking out. But yeah, it's actually a little bit below mid for me, guys. 4.5. This is a movie that I will not be revisiting ever again in my entire life. And that's probably just about as much as I probably have to say about it. So, if you saw my my quick little review there, that's up on the channel, my shorts review, I compared it to The Babadook because it has people dealing with trauma, a mother and a son dealing with trauma in their lives, and is it real, or is the Babadook real or not? So that's sort of how I was comparing it to The Woman in the Yard. Is The Woman in the Yard real or not? I don't know. And frankly, I don't want to know. It's an audience we can do without. Oh, that's the way I said it, because the Babadook deals with some of the same themes, and it's just a better executed film, and actually is a little bit more creepy. So I would go over and check out The Babadook over The Woman in the Yard. Okay, so if you like this kind of stuff, guys, we also did a review for Death of a Unicorn that's up on the channel right now, as well as Snow White, the new Snow White film that's in theaters. Go check out my reviews for that. And over on the main channel, we have Survivor Season 48. Lots of fun with that. We wrapped up Reacher Season 3. Great finale for that. Full movie reactions for The Electric State and The Gorge over on Mirror Domains. So, between Death of a Unicorn and Woman in the Yard, are you going to go check out any of these two? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains. Okay, so let's go over and take a look at some of the early box office news for both of these movies. And we'll talk about the new Jason Statham movie as well, A Working Man. So, what were the Thursday night previews? Princess Mononoke re-release. Not X-Max. IMAX, right? The IMAX re-release. And I want to go see this, but it's the Japanese language version. I would prefer to see the American dubbed version. It's just the version that I saw first. So sentimental value. Yes, despite some of the bad characters, like, I still think Billy Bob Thornton did a good job in that, and even Claire Danes. So I like that. But anyway, it came in first place on Thursday night with 1.2 million. A Working Man 1.1. So where did Death of a Unicorn land? Let's just take a look. Okay. Princess Mononoke. Box Office Mojo. So A Working Man clocked in at 1.1. So I'm guessing Woman in the Yard, 870K. Yeah, well, I think they'll be happy with that, because it's Woman in the Yard is a small film. It's not huge in budget. If it makes 2 or 3 million, I think it'll be okay. Death of a Unicorn's bigger though. It only made 700K. Wow. And the word of mouth for both of those films is not going to be good. Let's see what some of the comments say. And Cat 4 is finally out of the top 5. I love being 3:30 IMAX only theaters for showing one night only. Princess Mononoke. It showed a couple nights, I think. As I said, I would have instantly gone to see it if it was the English dub. That's right. It only was playing for one night on a Wednesday too. Oh yeah, I'm still going to that. I still should. The soundtrack for Princess Mononoke. It is my favorite Miyazaki film. It's just slow weekend at the theaters, guys, and it's all about Princess Mononoke, and it's just like, it's not a kids movie. No, it's really, well, it's got kid themes, like kids can watch it. It's nothing really horrifying in there, I would say. It's kind of like on par with what like a Labyrinth or Never Ending Story kind of feel to it. Like, that's as scary as I would get, maybe. I don't know. But it has to be so painful to an extremely expensive movie like Snow White to drop 20 million in its second weekend. Yeah, but here's the saving grace for Snow White, guys. Not even Statham is going to be good enough to crack. They'll be in the top 5. These will be in the top 5, and I think that. Was it The Chosen or whatever it's called? There's a religious movie, and maybe that will even blow these ones out of the water. But I think it'll go Death of a Unicorn first. I think it'll be Snow White, and then the Statham movie. Actually, I don't even know if Woman in the Yard will crack the top 5. I don't know. Let's go to Box Office Mojo. Let's go to last week's Snow White Black Bag. Last week's results. Black Bag is still the better movie in theaters right now. Novocaine is still so much fun. Go if you want to have fun. No, I guess I haven't seen the Statham movie, guys. Working Man, but you know he's going to deliver the action. You know that he is. And he's a retired CIA agent or some ex-forces guy. You know that. It's the beekeeper all over again, which is fine. He's got to go on one last mission to save somebody, and he's going to throw down. He's going to deliver. And I'm going to probably save this for Sunday because I'm going to need something fun to wash the taste out of my mouth from Death of a Unicorn and Woman in the Yard. But Snow White is poised. If it has a mid-tier, it'll have another weekend here, but then everything is going to get blown out of the water next weekend when the Minecraft movie comes out. So that's the way I'm looking at it, guys. What do you guys think? This 55% by critics, 94% by the audience. This is a Working Man is going to be the movie where you just turn off your brain and let it go and let it do its thing. We don't need a huge setup. We don't need some lingering emotional backbone to the story. It's just going to be Statham throwing down, beating up some bad guys. What is the running time for this? Hour and 56 minutes. Oh. All right. What do you guys think? Let me know about some of these movies in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains. Enjoy your weekend.